So, The Tomorrow War. It's a movie that just keeps giving, I guess you could say. 2 hours, 20 minutes. I really liked it. I've reviewed it. I've done 2 videos on it now. My review video, left linked above. And then following it up with, I think it was Variety, if I remember rightly, or even Deadline. Had an exclusive with respect to discussing essentially like how the movie was made, how it came to be, and how Amazon bought it for like $200 million off Paramount. I still think that's very strange, because of course Paramount could have put it on Paramount Plus, but it is what it is. Now, it's a creature feature. You guys know I absolutely adore my creature features, and I really do. Like, I really do adore my creature features, and this film is no different. You know, it actually had a really interesting creature feature, and I say it's no different, but it's very different, isn't it, in the fact that the creature itself was pretty well designed, to be fair. And the first time you start to see them, you go, oh, okay, yeah, no, this is much better than the trailer gave off. So, Variety sat down and discussed everything to do with the creatures that they could think of. Anyway, I still think there could have been some more interesting questions in here. But they sat down and chit-chatted to the concept artists. So there's some concept art that I'm going to show you. And we're going to run through exactly what was said and spoken about with respect to the design process of this creature. So let's dive right into it, shall we? So Variety asked the concept artist Ken Bartholomew. I'm butchering that, I'm aware. Asked him essentially how he came about the design process. Now, just as a quick bit of background on Ken, he's worked. Well, he's not done an awful lot of stuff, but he was working alongside James Price, and James Price did some VFX shots for RoboCop and Pacific Rim. So that's pretty good pedigree anyway. But Ken specifically was asked, what was your creative brief for the creatures? And these things are really interesting. What was given to the concept artist behind this for them to come up with this as a design? Because this is quite an out there design. And he replied with, the white spikes were described to me as vicious creatures that attack and eat everything in sight. Chris asked for a compelling design that conveyed the hunger and intelligence of these creatures. He was very specific about the teeth and wanted them to feel like a dental nightmare. Additionally, the aliens needed to have some kind of offensive weapons and different abilities such as fast swimming and flying. They needed to be agile and be able to move extremely fast. It was my job to translate all this information into one cohesive design. In our Skype meetings, Chris mentioned H.R. Giger's Alien and Hellraiser as a reference point, but he also encouraged me to show him additional ideas. He liked the work he had seen on my website and wanted to see what I'd come up with. Fascinating. That is really amazing. Alien and Hellraiser for this as a design, as a bit of a brief. That's incredible. Now, the answer continues and says, because there was no clear description of the white spikes, I gave Chris a few different options to choose in the beginning. In this early stage, it was all about brainstorming and coming up with interesting ideas. I did a few alien options that were bigger and had more body mass compared to the final design. One had a shorter body with long, frog-like legs. And Chris responded well to one particular design I made very early on that had tentacle-like legs, and he wanted me to develop that particular design further. So these are the two corresponding images, the frog-like legs and then the tentacle-like legs. And it looks like they kind of sat on something split between the two of them, by the sounds of it. And anyway, he's asked, what were your design influences? And he replies, I remember the initial script had a battle scene at the Miami beach that was mostly in water. Therefore, in my early sketches, I pictured the white spikes more aquatic with tentacle-like legs. During the design process, those tentacles eventually became the two tails on the back, and I also used various animal references that influenced the design. For the head of the white spikes, for example, I tried to incorporate various references of deep-sea fish, especially the viper fish was a big influence when I worked on the face. I like to mix the anatomy of insects with mammals in my designs. For example, the small front arms are based on mantis claws, and the back plates resemble the shell of a grasshopper. To make a good design, I think it's important to find a good balance between realism and imagination. If you design a creature too outlandish or too abstract, it will look unbelievable and silly, and vice versa. If you make a design too realistic, it will look boring. I love seeing actual anatomy in a design. This makes it look more grounded. Using reference photos from real-life animals is a great help to accomplish that. The goal is to come up with something new and original and avoid making it look similar to an already existing design. This is always very challenging and the hardest part of the job. What a fantastic statement. Genuinely, really impressed with the replies from this chap. Like, I mean, the designs themselves do actually speak for themselves anyway, but I think they did such a good job. Now, he's then asked, what about the skin texture and what went into that visual? The skin textures evolved quite a lot throughout the production of the film initially. I was told to make the skin translucent or shiny, like wet frog skin. Later, we made the skin rougher with cracks and sharp spikes. Chris wanted the skin texture to feel as if it could hurt you just by touching it. Chris also suggested adding an armoured shell and bigger blades for protection. I made the shoulder blades wider and added thicker skin on their backs that could repel attacks. The artists at Weta Digital proceeded to work on the textures and brought it to another level. I wasn't aware this was worked on by Weta, and that makes an awful lot of sense, to be fair. It does make an awful lot of sense. Because the film, you know, as much as people really don't like it, the film, by and large, did look great. I mean, this shot here alone, yes, there's some wonky stuff towards the end, but this is a good shot. You know, this looks good. It's all looking very good on screen. Now, he's then asked, how did you want the creatures to move, feel, and see? Because the white spikes had to be extremely fast and agile, I imagined them to be able to do strange poses and movements that are very insect-like crawling on walls and jumping wide distances. They had to be a powerful enemy to make them more threatening. Chris felt they needed to have some kind of an offensive weapon and asked for a plausible way of how the white spikes could shoot at their targets. I came up with the idea of a spike shooting tentacle and pitched the idea in a sketch. So he's literally the reason they are the white spikes. And this is why concept artists really do deserve much more credit. He is literally the reason. That's fantastic. That's genuinely fantastic. Now, Chris then replied, Chris and everyone else loved that idea and wanted me to develop that particular design further. I think it became one of the more memorable features of the design, absolutely. Based on notes I received from Chris and production designer Pete Wenham, I did 67 different alterations in total of that design until we found the final version. Those alterations consisted of different head shapes, eyes, spikes and legs, and after that sketch got approved I created a 3D model and a few coloured renderings of the final design. The goal is to feel the threat of how viciously and violently the white spikes go after their targets. Big shout out to Jamie Price and the whole VFX team who brought them to life. I especially love the animations in the stairwell scene. That's a fantastic scene. The tension and action in that scene is perfect. Now he's then asked, just to throw it out there, what are your favourite movie creatures? So you can start to see some of the inspiration, I guess, in his designs. And he replies, I have many favourite creature designs that inspired me, from Giga's Alien to Godzilla and everything in between. I remember when I saw Predator for the first time, the design blew me away and fired my imagination. I'd never seen something like that before. The two biggest influences were Star Wars and Jurassic Park. I think I was 6 or 7 years old when I saw Jurassic Park for the first time. My passion for movies developed after I saw that film. A few years later I watched the behind the scenes documentary and I was blown away by the animatronics and puppet work from Stan Winston and his team. I got fascinated by special effects, visual effects and the creation of movie monsters. I soon realised that the imaginative imagery in films were created by artists, and that is an actual job, and it was a big revelation for me, and I knew that I wanted to do that as well. What a great interview, like genuinely a great interview. I really like this interview, 100%. I've come back on screen looking all white and weird, like I'm beaming some kind of holy power at you. 100%, really good interview. It's good to see how they came to life as well. It is interesting as well that he was given a brief of, think Alien, crossed with Hellraiser. What an interesting reference point to be given. Alien and Hellraiser. I mean, that's my jam. No wonder I like it so much. But let me know what you guys think of this down below in the comment section. Did you like the designs or did you not? Personally, I actually found the designs very, very interesting and a bit of a breath of fresh air in terms of creature feature designs. I found them to actually be fairly original in their design. So please do let me know. Please do go and follow Ken Barthelme. I'm butchering your name. I will try and find his Instagram linked down below. But cheers, guys. Take care.